وسع ربي كل شيء علما أفلا تتذكرون.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على عبد الله ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Welcome to another of our self-development courses. In this course, we're going to be talking about how you can get on at work, as an employee, at school, as a student, with your colleagues and co-workers, with your employer, or with your classmates and the teachers and staff in the school where you are based. So whether you are at work or whether you're at school, how do you get on in that environment as a practicing Muslim? How do you fulfill the responsibilities that are yours, and how do you preserve and keep safe your religion, which is the most important thing that any of us have? And it's the greatest gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give to any of us. And of course, we're going to look at this in light of the book of Allah and the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Now, we're going to start by looking at you as a person. What should your attitude and behavior be as an employee, as a co-worker, or as perhaps a student in a school, whatever it might be, whatever position or whatever institution or whatever organization you are in, how should you be as a person? And we're going to start with the hadith narrated by Shaddad ibn Aus, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Inna Allah kataba al-ihsana ala kulli shay. فإذا قتلتم فأحسنوا القتلة وإذا ذبحتم فأحسنوا الذبح." Al-Hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah has commanded you to have excellence in everything that you do. To have excellence in everything you do. Ehsaan is excellence. Ehsaan is going beyond the basics. Ehsaan is striving to do everything the best way that you can. And the Prophet ﷺ gave two examples. He said, so if you kill, then kill with excellence. And if you slaughter, slaughter with excellence. Now, why these two examples? And why bring them here? We're talking about co-workers and colleagues. The Prophet ﷺ gave examples that even down to this. I mean, it is the example that is, if you have to have excellence in this, then everything else is min babi awla, is more deserving. And even when you sacrifice an animal, you have to have excellence. Even when you fight somebody, you have to have excellence. So excellence is required in everything you do. And therefore, we would say that you approach your job or your role inside of this organization or within this institution, you approach it with excellence. I want to do the best possible job. And a lot of people, they somewhat struggle when they have maybe menial tasks, or they don't feel like they're being used to them, the max of their ability. Maybe the person, says, I can do the job of the CEO, I could do the job of the manager, and I'm here making the tea and sweeping the floor. But even if you're making the tea and sweeping the floor, Inna Allah kataba al-ihsana ala kulli shay. Allah requires you to do it in the most excellent way possible. So the mentality has to be one of ihsan. It has to be one where you really want to do this job really, really well. And it could be anything. And it's so easy in every position and role you might be in. It is so easy for you to fall into a mentality of just being robotic, of just getting through the day. Let me just sit there. Let me just pretend to be working and click the mouse. Let me just kind of relax and shut my eyes because, I don't have that motivation. But your motivation is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching you whatever you do. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees everything and Allah knows everything. And even if your employer is not watching you, so Allah Azza wa Jal is watching you. And Allah made it obligatory for you to strive to do everything in the best possible way. So do your very best. This is point number one. Point number two is based upon the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal. قالت إحداهما يا أبت استأجر إن خير من استأجرت القوي الأمين. Surah Al-Qasas, ayah number 26. O my father, employ him. the best of those that you employ is the one who is strong and trustworthy. This is a nas from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that the best employee you can have is the one who is strong and trustworthy. Now, strength is strong at what you do. No doubt strength, physical strength, is good, because if you're going to employ someone, don't employ somebody who is very sick, who's very weak. The best employee you can have is someone who's strong and healthy. But also strength at what you do is not far away from that. Being good at what you do and being trustworthy. And trustworthiness is a big topic when it comes to the employer and the employee, being trustworthy. And one of the things that we see that's very, very hard is that a lot of times we are given responsibility to do things by ourselves. So for example, maybe the time we come to work, the time we clock out from work, work we do from home, things that we do where we told that this task is complete or not complete. These are amanat, responsibilities. And at the end of the day, you may think that this work should have been done in 2 hours, or you may think it should have been done a different way. But your employer gave you a job to do within a set amount of time. And that job that you have within that set amount of time, it is an amana for you to complete it in that time. It's an amana that you say that I finished my work that you set me, that I filled my day with what you required from me. And we're not asking someone to do more than what they are able. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. You'll have to go to the bathroom, you'll have to take water, you'll have to maybe step up and walk around the room to get your energy back again. But to have amana, too many people, wallahi, we see from them a lack of amana as an employee. So the person, what they do is, they, for example, they don't take care of when they clock in and clock out. And so maybe they get paid for hours they didn't do. Or they do their personal work in the time that their employer expects them to be doing their paid work. And so instead they're on their phone, they're talking to their family, and they're receiving a wage from their employer because of that. Now don't get me wrong, there is an urf, no doubt. There is a standard that people understand and they accept. That urf, you cannot do anything about it. It is what it is. For example, there are situations where it's normal that maybe from time to time you have to answer your phone, and people accept that as a normal kind of practice in your workplace. That's fine. But don't be someone who spent 3 hours answering your personal emails and then you told your employer that you spent 3 hours working. It's not amana. And this issue is very, very serious. Because Allah Azza wa Jal, when He described the believers in Surah Al-Mu'minun, in ayah number 8, He said, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِأَمَانَاتِهِمْ وَعَهْدِهِمْ رَاعُونَ. They are those people who take care of their amanat, their responsibilities, and the promises that they made. And Abu Hurairah narrated from the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he said, Ayatul munafiqi thalath. There are 3 signs of a munafiq. إِذَا حَدَّثَ كَذَبْ. When he speaks, he lies. وَإِذَا وَعَدَ أَخْلَفْ. And when he promises, he breaks his promise. وَإِذَا اؤْتُمِنَ خَانَ. And when he is given a responsibility, he breaks it. So if at work you are lying, if at work you are breaking promises that you made and agreements you made, if at work you are taking a responsibility and not fulfilling it, this is min ayat al-munafiq. This is from the signs of a munafiq. Now we're not saying al-munafiq fil i'tiqadat. We're not saying a munafiq in aqeedah, like the person doesn't believe in Allah or the person is not a Muslim. But we're saying a munafiq in their amal, in their actions. That person is guilty of an-nifaq in that action. They're guilty of a kind of hypocrisy. So the matter is very, very serious indeed. And the hadith of Abdullah ibn Amr, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, أَرْبَعٌ مَنْ كُنَّ فِيهِ كَانَ مُنَافِقًا خَالِصًا. There are 4 things. If a person has these 4 characteristics, they are a complete munafiq. وَمَنْ كَانَتْ فِيهِ خَصْلَةٌ مِنْهُنَّ كَانَتْ فِيهِ خَصْلَةٌ مِنَ النِّفَاقِ. And whoever has a part of this has a part of nifaq. حَتَّى يَدَعَهَا. Until the person leaves it. إِذَا اؤْتُمِنَ خَانَ. If he's given a responsibility, he breaks it. وَإِذَا حَدَّثَ كَذَبَ. And when he speaks, he lies. وَإِذَا عَاهَدَ غَدَرَ. And when he makes an oath or a promise or an agreement, he breaks it. وَإِذَا خَاصَمَ فَجَرَ. And when he argues with someone, he uses obscenities. This is a sign of a munafiq. And therefore, we have to ask ourselves, what are my responsibilities? Now here, I'm going to give you a very practical tip, and it's important. And that practical tip is that number one, control your promises and your agreements. That means don't accept a promise or an agreement from someone unless you are willing to fulfill it. So many times we overpromise. Oh, I will deliver the project next week. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do 20. I'll do all of this. And the person overpromises. If you know that you cannot do something, say to your employer, I am not able to do this. I'm not capable to do this. We need to take longer. Apologize if you have to break a promise and explain why and try to find a way around it that you don't have to do it again. And also when it comes to the stage that you are negotiating your contract, put in your contract the things that you know you will need. For example, if you know that you will need some flexibility on a Friday, on a Monday, on a Tuesday for a certain personal task, have it in writing with your employer before you begin. So then it's easy. Nobody becomes confused. Be upon clarity. So many times, for example, a brother was speaking to me the other day, and this brother, he said something to me. He said to me, I want to take a job, but in this new job, the role is much more strict and much more any commitment and hours than previously. So I want to take this job, but I'm frightened about my prayer times and my Jumu'ah. I said, before you take the job, negotiate this as part of your contract. That as part of my contract, I will be performing my daily prayers. I will be going for Jumu'ah prayer. And if you want to negotiate making it up at another time, or you just want to make it part of your contract, but don't be someone who goes against the amanat they've been given because they haven't and they're not clear about what they can and can't do, and they break their promises in that regard. No doubt your amana towards Allah is the great amana. Your amana towards Islam is the great amana. There is no doubt about that. At the same time, you want to be someone who is clear with your employer about what you are supposed to do, what your role is, and clear about the exceptions which you might need. And if in the middle of your contract you find you need some exceptions, make it clear to your employer so that there can be no issue or no matter of a person saying that they have compromised or they have broken promises that they have made. So this is extremely important. Even the hours that you keep. So many people are lax about it. I just come in when I like, I leave when I like, my employer is easygoing. And the person doesn't know whether they fulfilled what they were paid for or not. And on the Yawm al-Qiyamah, on the Day of Judgment, a person will be asked about it. So if you can't fulfill that, negotiate a different option, or take less pay, or make it up another time, or have something agreed. Otherwise, fulfill the responsibilities that you have been given. And we can also take a benefit from that last part, that when you get into an argument with people, and we're going to talk about arguments at work and co-workers and all of that, when you do get into an argument with someone or you do have an issue with someone, then I think it's really, really important that you don't become that person who is obscene and using bad language and aggressive nature, or the person who is behaving in an inappropriate way for a Muslim. Rather, the Muslim character is extremely important. وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. You, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, are on the highest standard of character. That brings us to the end of our first segment. And after that, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to go on to talk about aspects of your role in your workplace, your organization, your school, and how you can get on with that and how you can be successful at it and how you can manage the different relationships and responsibilities that you have. That's what Allah made easy for me to mention in this first segment. Allah knows best. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.